Hi there. Welcome to Mission Forward. I'm your host, Carrie Fox. And by now, you probably know that I write a weekly column on communications and life called Finding the Words, in addition to hosting this podcast. And on this season of the show, I've been lifting up a few of those essays here as short-form episodes of the podcast. If you like what you hear, I hope you will head over to mission.partners and sign up to get these insights delivered right to your inbox each and every Wednesday morning. But now, on to this week's column, Come Closer. I was 16 years old when I first experienced the power of narrative change. It was coming on Christmas, and I was working in my very first internship at a public relations firm in the suburbs of northern New Jersey. That winter, I had been tasked with telling the story of Jen, another 16-year-old girl living with a severe case of juvenile arthritis. She and I had much in common, but our life experiences couldn't have been much more different. Her condition limited her ability to walk, but this young woman was determined to run a local road race to support the Arthritis Foundation. She was determined to change the narrative that she believed others had set for her. I met with her and her family and interviewed her about her lived experiences. I saw firsthand just how she had learned to not just live with her condition, but to thrive in her own body, even when it wouldn't cooperate with her. As I learned her story, the perceived space between us started to close. I pitched her story to a reporter at the New Jersey Star-Ledger, and one Sunday soon after, it landed on the front page. It seemed that her story resonated with far more people than just me. I remember her parents' gratitude for helping to share her story and the boost of confidence they believed it gave her to continue challenging the real and perceived limitations of her condition. She was bigger than her illness and more than her limitations, even though society didn't always see it that way, me included. That story challenged my own attitude and response to people living with disabilities, and it continues to do so. Such is the power of story. Disability rights activist Harriet McBride Johnson said in the later years of her life, storytelling itself is an activity, not an object. Stories are the closest we can come to shared experience. And like all stories, they are most fundamentally a chance to ride around inside each other's head and be reminded that being who we are and where we are and doing what we're doing is not the only possibility. Jen was among my first agents of change. She was an expert by experience who showed me the power of positive storytelling to shift perceptions. And being invited to help her tell her story cemented my desire to pursue a field in storytelling. The kind of storytelling that could challenge people to look and then look again at the issues. I placed that story almost 30 years ago, and I still think about it every year right around this time. Since meeting Jen, I have supported hundreds of people and organizations in telling their stories in their own words to close gaps in understanding on issues as varied as foster care, homelessness, economic mobility, mental health, and environmental justice. To many people, narrative change is just another jargon term that gets tossed around in politics and philanthropy. But to me, it's more. It's a powerful tool to shift how we interpret and understand the world around us, with the goal of making the spaces between us smaller. Bottom line, there are no shortage of issues working to pull us apart. Consider where you can get closer to people experiencing and impacted by those issues, and see what it does for you as a result. And that brings us to the end of this short-form episode of Mission Forward. If you heard something that's going to stick with you, drop me a line at carrie@mission.partners and let me know what's got you thinking. And definitely check out some of our longer-form shows on the power of communications. Mission Forward is produced with the support of Sadie Lockhart in association with True Story FM. Engineering by Pete Wright. If your podcast app allows for ratings and reviews, I hope you will consider doing just that for this show. But the best thing you can do to support Mission Forward is simply share the show with a friend or a colleague. Thanks for your support, and we'll see you next time.